Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final session of Tech in Ghana 2020. We are super excited that you've been able to be with us all this time, and we promise that you're absolutely going to enjoy this final session. We have for today, we'll be looking at opportunity knocks, investments, and business for Ghana tech founders. So if you are a startup or an SME or a skilled techie or you're just an entrepreneur in Ghana and you are looking for a way to grow and expand your business and you are looking for people who can invest in you, then this session is absolutely for you and you're at the right place. We have seasoned people in the VC and funding sectors, and they are happy to talk to us today about what their various foundations are doing and how you can leverage these. So let's jump straight to our speakers for today. Our first speaker is from the BAYI Foundation, where they pride themselves in 3 pillars to support entrepreneurs. I'm going to give her the opportunity to do all the descriptions. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome from BAYI Foundation, Ronke Adepoju. Ronke, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ammishaddai. Hello, everyone. My name is Ronke Adepoju. I'm the director at BAYI Foundation, a nonprofit organization that provides funding, resources, and tools to African-based SMEs. So I have here just a couple of slides to show you what we are about and what we do. So I'll just get started. Next slide, please. So like I mentioned, BAYI Foundation is a nonprofit. We're affiliated with BAYI Capital, a private equity firm based in New York City. And what we do is we try to support African SMEs in terms of training, resources, and especially funding. And we've staged our offerings in various stages to provide all of these tools that I've just mentioned. So we have 2 major programs that we offer. The first is what we call the Business Support Program, which is the training program. And the second is the Business Social Program, which is where we actually provide you with consultants at our cost to make you investment ready. So next slide, please. So like previously mentioned, we do have 3 pillars, and yes, we are industry agnostic. So that means that we are not particularly focused on what industry the SME is coming from. However, we majorly do not support oil and gas industries, but our 3 main pillars are youth entrepreneurship. So we are all about empowering the youth and mentoring the youth and making sure that they do have the same advantages and leg up as other experienced SMEs. We're also about women's support. And as a woman myself, I do understand most of the challenges that female entrepreneurs face in today's time, and we are all about focusing on that gender equality. And the next is financial education and inclusion. So this is about bringing more people into the financial bracket and making sure that people understand their financings, people are able to manage their finances. So next slide, please. So here, like I mentioned, what we like to do at BAYI Foundation is to take the SME through a journey with us. So we like to hold your hand through the whole process. So it starts with an online training program, which is the business support program that I mentioned earlier. It's currently running now, but this is an annual thing. So even if you didn't get into this year's cohort, the next cohort starts in 2021, in March of 2021. So this year's class is 10 weeks, but next year's cohort class would be about 6 to 7 weeks. After you complete this online training with us, where we bring in experienced facilitators, experienced experts in the industry to teach you business topics that we have identified as the top gaps for SMEs on the continent. After this, you get you move on to the fellowship program, which is a 6-month program. Here we hire a consulting team, experienced people from former Big Four or one of the boutique management consulting firms, and we hire this team at our cost to come into your business, and what their main aim is to make you investment ready. So they come in for 6 months, they're restructuring your business, they're putting in all the processes and procedures, they're telling you what you need to fix up. And at the end of this course, at the end of this fellowship program, where you work hand in hand with the consultants, we get to know if you are eligible for financing from our affiliate, BAYI Capital. So we offer 2 types of funding, and the first is debt financing, which we give up to a maximum of $250,000 US, and we offer equity financing, which is from the BAYI Capital side, our PE affiliate, which is from $4 million US to a maximum of $12 million US. And during this whole financing process, we assign you a mentor. So that mentor is to help you go through and understand that process, the due diligence process, all that goes into financing, just so that you're not overwhelmed, or you're not you don't feel like you're out of your depths with what is going on. Next slide, please. So next slide. So just talking about the business support program, for this current cohort that we're offering, these are the 10 courses that we're offering, and you see that they range from different topics: how to develop a business plan, structuring the operations of your business, selecting the financing options for you, maximizing your digital and branding online value, which is very important, especially in the time that we're in, where online value maximization is key for your business growth, maximizing your cash flow and expanding your product reach, having a game plan for your business, making your business sustainable using ESG approach, making your business operations efficient and customer-centric, implementing digital finance solutions in your business, and of course, what to know legally when you're seeking investment as an SME. So the next slide. So just to point out some things about our business, about our programs, we do have some business criteria. And number one is that you need to have been in operations for about 3 years. You need to be able to provide us with at least 1 year of audited financial statements, and you need to be making an annual average revenue of at least $100,000 US, equivalent using the market rate as at the year that you made it. So whatever the exchange rate is in your country as at 2019, let's say you were giving us your 2019 annual financial statements, we'll be using that exchange rate to do that pre-qualification. So moving on to the fellowship program. Like I mentioned earlier, the fellowship program is a 6-month program where we send you a consulting team of 3. The team is made up of a senior expert, which is who we call the business consultant here. And that business consultant is supported by 2 interns, or what I would like to call the analysts. It starts in January, but like I said, it's every year. So this year's cohort is starting their business fellowship program in January, but next year's would come in also at the end of the year as well. So you can join in at the year that you feel you're most comfortable or you're most ready to join in. Our consultants have over 10 years of experience in the field. They've advised SMEs, large organizations in various industries, but you'll be working very closely with them. And the goal is, like I mentioned, they will work with you, fix your business, provide recommendations, and of course, make you investment ready for our capital team. Next slide. So just to round up, that's a nutshell about BAYI Foundation and the programs we offer. There's a lot more that we offer in terms of mentorship program, advisory services, and just transactional services and trade finance. So if you want to hear more about us, we're available on LinkedIn, Instagram. You can check out our website, www.bayifoundation.org, or you can just send us an email, which is up there, support@bayifoundation.org, and I look forward to hearing from a lot of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ronke. Wow, that was really succinct and yet so important. Thank you for your 3 pillars. So like Ronke said, if you are interested in financial inclusion, if you're a youth and you need entrepreneurship and mentorship support, and also if you're a woman in business, you can get support from BAYI Foundation. Thank you so much, Ronke. We'll allow questions at the end of the session. So if you have any questions, please type it and we will forward it to Ronke. Right. So now, if you are a developer and you are looking for an extra way to make good money, this next person is going to tell you some really good news. So please help me welcome from eWorker, Mr. Ike Okosa. Ike, over to you. Ike, if you could unmute, we can't hear from this side.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me, everybody. My name is Ike. I'm the CEO and co-founder of eWorker. eWorker is an evidence-based hiring platform that makes finding pre-qualified software engineers very easy and fast. So I'll just run through the problem of hiring developers. So finding a good quality software developer is very, very difficult. Many times, many of the candidates that apply for jobs tend to be unqualified. It tends to cost a lot. On average, it costs a company about £24,000 to recruit a senior software engineer. It also takes about 3 to 5 months to find a good engineer. That involves putting out a job advert, reviewing the CVs of the applicants, filtering them out, inviting them for an interview, maybe conducting technical assessments, and then a second interview, etc. So it tends to take about 3 to 5 months to hire a good software engineer using traditional recruitment. And in most cases, some companies actually just settle for an engineer because the process takes so long and it's so expensive. Many settle. So as I mentioned, eWorker is an evidence-based hiring platform that connects companies to pre-qualified software engineers. We make finding good software developers very fast. On average, it just takes a few hours to a couple of days, a few days to hire a good engineer. It costs up to 70% less than traditional recruitment. You're able to find top talent. All our engineers go through a number of assessments before they actually become an eWorker. So you're guaranteed to find somebody of top quality. Our platform is actually geared for people across Africa. So it's the opportunities for companies and businesses and startups to find untapped talent that would usually be very difficult to hire in developed economies. We also make tax compliance easy as well. So it's very easy for companies to pay developers in their home country without having any issues with tax regulations. So the way our platform works, you sign up. The same way we approve candidates is the same way we approve clients. So we vet the clients as well to make sure that they're the right fit for our engineers. So all they need to do is go onto the platform, post a job description. The system automatically matches them to candidates that match their profile. And then once you've found the candidates, you can then arrange an interview online. And if you're happy, then you can hire the engineer. So as I mentioned, that process usually takes within a few hours to a few days. So we feel at eWorker that resumes are out. We don't look at people's resumes. We look more at, we use algorithms to identify top performing talent. So our process is the applicant would apply. We would manually review their profile. and then conduct a pre-screening call. We also do ID verification to ensure they are who they say they are. We then do a coding assessment. We then provide them with a take-home project, which is a real-world problem that they can solve using code. Then we also do a cultural fit assessment to make sure that they have the right level of exposure to fit into the clients that we're recruiting for. And then once they've done all of that, they do a final technical interview with one of our talent managers before being approved onto our platform. So not only do we look at the skills, we also use other data points as well, such as the industry fit. Have they worked in that space before? Do they have the right personality? Do they have the right competencies, the right skills? And are they actually remote work ready? Because most people may not have or some people may not have the infrastructure to work remotely. So we ensure that all the candidates on our platform have the right type of infrastructure to work successfully remotely. I'm going to showcase you a client's profile. So this is Sprout Logic. Sprout Logic is a team based in the US and the south of India. They used eWorker to hire a developer. I think it took them about 4 days in total. So that was from posting the job advert, interviewing 2 candidates, right? It's not like traditional recruitment where we send them 20 different candidates or 50 candidates. We sent them 2 candidates, and out of those 2 candidates, they interviewed one of the candidates and made a hiring decision within a few days. So since our inception, we've worked for a number of companies. We actually have talent in 9 different African countries, which include Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa, Morocco, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and Uganda. Our engineers work full-time, or they're also available for contracted roles. And we cater for companies all across the globe. So that includes companies in the UK, the US, as well as in Ghana, in Africa, in other parts of Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, etc. So thank you very much for your time today. If you'd like to partner or learn more about eWorker, please feel free to visit our website, which is www.eworker.co. You can also email us at partnerships@eworker.co, or find us on all your social media channels, eworker.co also. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Ike. And there you have it from eWorker. Before we go on to our next speaker, I just want to remind all of us that this is the virtual edition of the Tech in Ghana conference. And because of the COVID situation that we have, this is our first ever virtual edition. And instead of having just for Tech in Ghana, we are having it with a blend of the UK flavor as well. So if you're watching us from wherever you are, you can join the conversation with the hashtag TechInGH on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and we'll be happy to see your comments. Okay, so if you are interested in learning from high-class entrepreneurs, peers in the industry, then this next person is about to tell you something that will help you connect with the right kind of people. His name is Gary Stewart, and he's the only man I've seen with a picture of David Beckham on his LinkedIn profile. And help me welcome Gary from The Nest. Over to you, Gary.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me and for letting me speak. So my name is Gary Stewart, formerly of The Nest, and now of a company called Founder Tribes, which is all about helping founders to access entrepreneurial opportunity and hopefully capital. So next slide. Yeah, so a bit about my background. Born in Jamaica, grew up in New York, went to Yale College, Yale Law School, practiced as a lawyer for a few years in different firms in different countries, eventually set up my own startup, raised about $4 million, so I'm a founder too. Exited the company in 2016, but somewhere along the way, I started teaching at a business school in Madrid, and then also helping Telefonica, which is a large telecommunications company, like I guess Sprint or Verizon, to set up a corporate accelerator. And I did that for 8 years, first 3 years in Spain, and then 5 years in London. In London, in the UK, I should say, where I helped to do it, we invested up to about $150,000 in 185 companies that went on to raise about $262 million, and were worth about $1.1 billion by the time that I left. Next slide, please. And I think the problem that I saw there is, Telefonica had Wairas in about 12 different countries, and we saw that there were just lots of entrepreneurs who were really underserved. So globally, there are about 582 million entrepreneurs, and probably about 576 or 580 of them are being ignored. Too many of them come from groups that look like the rest of us, and this is really a massive untapped market. Next slide, please. And so the typical entrepreneurial journey, even me going through it again, like for the second time, sees how kind of really just messed up it is. Because a lot of times it's difficult to kind of get the first bit of funding, the pre-seed funding. No one really wants to talk to you. If you don't come from the right networks or have the right friends, it's really difficult to access early stage investors. People tell you to watch videos on YouTube or maybe read a Medium post or watch a podcast, but those aren't really that interactive enough to be able to help you to identify the very specific problems that you have. And if you don't live in one of 10 cities, 60% of all venture capital is basically focused on 10 cities around the world, with 8 of them being in the US and China, and the only other 2 being London and Bangalore. And so if you can't really figure out how to access capital, like most entrepreneurs, you'll eventually die of a lack of cash flow. Next slide, please. So yeah, this is kind of just reiterating that point, which is that if you look at actually how many people actually get funded globally as founders, it's only about 33,000 people or startups that get funded, but there are about 582 million entrepreneurs globally. If you were to look just in the US and UK, that would be about 37 million. So just to say again, that just lots of people that are being ignored. And that's why we kind of created an educational app that helps people to go all the way from identifying what are the risk factors in their business, all the way up to getting funding. So next slide, please. So how does it work? How does Founder Tribes work? So the first idea is that we really want to make sure that you understand how investors evaluate businesses. And we start by asking you to watch 5 3-minute pitches from other founders, and to swipe right or left depending on whether or not you think that founder's pitch is investor worthy. And then we kind of ask you to kind of evaluate those pitches based on 10 criteria, which really map out to the ideas that Sequoia Capital, which is the investor behind like Apple and Google and lots of other big companies in Silicon Valley. These are the 10 factors they say they need you to be able to answer in order to determine if you're investor worthy. So we ask you to evaluate, first of all, other people by those same standards so that you can kind of begin to acclimate yourself to the sorts of questions that people expect you to be able to answer. And then you upload your video, and then we essentially do the same process with you. We tell you, well, this is how people are evaluating you based on these different kind of risk factors usually associated with a startup. And we work with you, and usually it's going to be someone that's more senior than you, that's or more advanced than you in terms of the entrepreneurial journey, that's going to be evaluating you. So it's always kind of qualified advice, either from an investor or from a founder that's at least one step beyond you. There we kind of give you kind of tips, from entrepreneurs who have been there and done that to help you to kind of get to the next level. Next slide, please. Yep. And so one of the things that we think is really important as well is it's not enough to just say, hey, we think that your financials don't make sense. We can also then put you in touch with mentors who we've kind of qualified, again, usually with a preference on entrepreneurs who've been there and done that. And then over time, you can continually upload your pitch. And when we think you've gotten to the point that you're investor ready, we will introduce you to investors around the world that we think are relevant to you based on your industry as well as your stage of investment. Next slide, please. So we've already recorded like loads of great entrepreneurs that have committed their time to helping to kind of identify best practices in particular areas like marketing or sales or whatever. People like Stacey Abrams, who, if any of you are watching the US elections, Georgia, the state of Georgia is now in play. That's because Stacey set up a nonprofit to essentially get out the vote in Georgia. Ann Wojcicki, who is the founder of 23andMe, ex-wife of the founder of Google, and sister of the CEO of YouTube. People like that are on the platform to kind of really give advice so that founders, can kind of understand best practices, again, from people who've been there and done that, as opposed to what happens, I guess, in too many ecosystems where it's basically advice from people who've never actually started a company. Next slide, please. And we're already working with loads of different partners, so universities like Oxford Entrepreneurs, Yale, Howard University, University of East London, and different venture capitalists like Forward Partners, all of whom are looking to kind of diversify their pipelines and are using us as a tool to access kind of entrepreneurs that are kind of up to par, but that they might not have otherwise seen because they don't belong to their networks. Next slide, please. Again, we've built together a pretty amazing executive, non-executive board. So Stacey Abrams, who I mentioned before, who was shortlisted to be Joe Biden's vice presidential candidate, Caitlin Heising, whose family runs a foundation that really does focus on social impact, and they they awarded more than $113 million last year, and Jen Wong, who is the COO of Reddit. Next slide, please. And so we have an offer to all of you guys out there, which is that right now we're kind of building version 1 of our platform. And so we really want to work with you to help you to get investor ready. So all you need to do is to send us a 3-minute video pitch of your startup. We will audit your video pitch with the aim to identify the key risk factors, again, as per Sequoia's recommendations. We will then benchmark your pitch and your business against other founders around the world. And then we'll send you materials like the videos from like an Ammishaddai or Jen Wong explaining kind of how you might try to mitigate some of those risk factors. And we'll assign mentors to help you to improve those areas of weakness. And if and when your pitch finally gets to be investor ready, then we'll introduce you to our network of investors based on your stage of development in your vertical. And if you're interested, please just send an email to charlie@foundertribes.com. So I think that's it for me. Again, really happy to support any entrepreneur that is out there that kind of wants to get feedback from other entrepreneurs who are more advanced, who've been there and done that, who've exited startups. Particularly, they might want to get feedback from entrepreneurs who look like them and might want to get invested by people who look like them as well around the world. And that's Founder Tribes.
Thank you, Gary. And what an amazing opportunity, right? For those of us in Ghana and most of the continent, I think this is a brilliant opportunity that we should absolutely take advantage of. Thank you, Gary, so much for presenting this. Let me continue to say that we are still in the virtual edition of the Tech in Ghana conference, and this is going to be the last session for the Tech in Ghana conference. Our theme has been the power of collaboration, and that's why we have people like Gary and Ronke from earlier on board. We are looking at impact, investment, and sustainability. All right, and speaking of investment, this next person I'm about to introduce to you belongs to a firm that has set up a $4.3 million accelerator program for those of you in inclusive digital technology. And so please help me welcome our very own Matt Grasser, who is going to speak to us more about the Catalyst Fund Inclusive Digital Commerce. Matt, over to you.
Great, thanks so much. And yeah, welcome everybody. Good afternoon to everybody watching from Ghana and the UK. So I wanted to start just by going over a few points that I wanted to cover today. So my name's Matt Grasser. We're from the Catalyst Fund Inclusive Digital Commerce Accelerator program. And I wanted just to start off by naming some of the challenges we're aiming to address with the program, the proposed response for this program, and then dive into a little bit about who we are. And I think what everybody's here for is to hear a little bit about what we offer and how you might get access to that. So we'll also talk about our sourcing and selection criteria. And finally, I think if you take one thing away from today, it's really that you should check out this bfa.works/EOI and submit an expression of interest if you meet the criteria that we'll talk about. So the challenge that we're seeing globally is that there are barriers preventing small businesses from adopting digital commerce solutions. It's tough for MSMEs to really deeply understand the value of digital commerce as it's presented to them currently. So these are like 3 of the main challenges listed here. They're not by any means the only challenges, just 3 that we're highlighting today. So yeah, this idea that like maybe risks are seen more than the value, and so like tailoring the message to these MSEs as part of the digital commerce ecosystem is really a critical barrier that exists right now. Secondly, digital payments can be a barrier, so lack of integration between digital commerce platforms and mobile money, for instance, or the, I guess, tendency or desire for people to want to pay cash on delivery or pay cash in general for goods. And thirdly, high operational costs due to a lack of infrastructure can be a challenge. So things like lack of, detailed addressing, last mile delivery, things like this add to the expenses that make the costs kind of prohibitive for many MSEs in particular. So these are some of the challenges we've seen generally. Diving into Ghana during the COVID-19 crisis, we've seen some statistics come out of the statistical office in Ghana that 44% of low to middle income self-employed people have had lost their jobs or could not find work during the pandemic. Over 90% of micro enterprises report decreased sales, and overall sales have fallen over 60% relative to last April. So there are a number of challenges facing MSEs. We propose a solution, a response to this, which is an ecosystem approach to acceleration. So we at Catalyst Fund Digital Commerce, Inclusive Digital Commerce Accelerator, are looking to scale 6 digital commerce companies that can help to address some of these issues, help more informal small businesses in Ghana adopt digital commerce to help grow their businesses and make them more resilient to things like COVID-19 crisis. We also seek to improve the value, seamlessness, and benefits of digital commerce for small businesses and platform workers who can then reach more low-income Ghanaians, particularly women and youth. So when we say digital commerce, I think a lot of people immediately think of e-commerce marketplaces, which is certainly a part of the picture. But on the left of this slide, we really want to highlight that that's not the only component. We've mentioned things like logistics and payments and marketing and business tools to make sure that MSEs are reached in a way that is accessible for them. But also, items like having a unique ID that's digitized or digitally enabled, having an addressing system, paying attention to warehousing and collection points, and also offering financial services to SMEs such that they can weather these financial shocks are also a big part of that ecosystem that we talk about. So that's a little bit about the response we're proposing. I wanted to also mention who we are as a program. I mentioned we're the Catalyst Fund Inclusive Digital Commerce Accelerator program, but I should mention that we're funded by the MasterCard Foundation. We're managed by BFA, which is a consulting firm focused for years and years on financial inclusion and financial health and accelerating startups. And we're working in partnership with MEST as our Ghanaian local partner on the ground. So yeah, if you see these mixture of names, just know that they're all kind of bundled under this Catalyst Fund Inclusive Digital Commerce Accelerator umbrella. So I think I tried to get to this slide as quickly as possible for those of you that are here to hear about the opportunities. So what we offer is really a 4 module approach. So again, we're seeking to accelerate 6 inclusive digital commerce companies over the next 2 years through these 4 modules. So the first one is that we're offering each company flexible grant capital up to up to 120,000 US dollars per company to develop the solutions that we've discussed earlier. So to put toward the program itself. In addition to the capital, we're also providing deep technical support. So venture acceleration support. This is through a series of experts that we have on our bench that we can sit down and work directly with the companies on some of the problems or challenges that they may have in meeting the needs of MSEs. So I'll get into detail on that in a minute on the next slide. And the other 2 areas are that we provide local and operational support. So local expertise through cohort-based meetups, curated workshops, access to network of Ghanaian entrepreneurs, and more. And this is done, again, in collaboration with MEST so that we can have really deep kind of in-person, on-the-ground conversations with people that can really make a difference here. And finally, Catalyst Fund offers an ecosystem of partners of investors. So we have a circle of corporate innovators, a circle of investors. We're in touch with government programs and other local networks who can support in scaling, partnering, or investing. So that's kind of the 4 high-level modules that we provide. I did want to kind of double-click on the tailored venture acceleration support because this is kind of, I guess, a jargony term, and I want to make sure that it's clear what is being provided here. So we've definitely providing technical support, things like understanding how the back-end infrastructure can be set up to scale, how front-end infrastructure can be best set up to meet the customer's needs, how you can build a roadmap for scaling the product, things like this. Along with that comes data analytics with a focus on machine learning readiness, piloting, these kind of things. When are you ready to kind of build data solutions or machine learning solutions into the product itself? Business modeling deep dives to figure out where some of the economies of scale might come into play, or where there may be barriers to going and expanding financially to meet the needs of MSEs. Of course, raising the voice of the customer, which is kind of the critical thing, whether that customer is an MSE or the customers of MSEs, through user experience research, and then applying that through human-centered design to the product itself. Yeah, exploring, I think, some of the things that we've mentioned, like partnerships, integrations, marketing and sales strategies, and unlocking our deep expertise in specific areas like agent networks and MSE digital onboarding, supply chain finance, where we've been working for years on across Africa on many of these topics. So these are what we're offering. I think one of the things I wanted to highlight is the outcomes that we've seen to date. So as part of joining Catalyst, you're joining this larger trend. So there's 37 companies to date in the last 5 years that have been accelerated by the Catalyst Fund in general, that have reached over 2.57 million low-income customers. So we're really impact driven. I think that this low-income customer story is a really important part of our journey. But in addition to that, we've also helped our portfolio companies, those 37 companies, go on to raise $81 million to date in additional capital, which is 25x to what we've put in terms of grant funding. And if you don't believe me about the value of this program, I think you can take the portfolio company's word for it. Our net promoter score from the companies themselves has been 91 for the venture building and acceleration we've put together for them. And 12 of our portfolio companies have even gone on to request follow-on engagements with our experts. They want to continue working with us because the effect has been really positive on their company. So that's a lot about the value. I want to spend like the last minute or so that I have here talking about the eligibility requirements for this particular program. So there's 8 requirements here that our investment advisory committee will be reviewing. And we're currently sourcing for our first program cycle, which will start really this coming month. And we're looking to accept 3 companies as part of that initial cohort. These companies must meet the requirements on the left. So must be inclusive, must be wanting to serve MSEs, must have some level of traction already, so serving at least 1,000 small businesses. These companies must be a little bit further on in their journey, so they can't be necessarily pre-seed or kind of incubation stage. We're looking for people that can scale relatively quickly, so they need to be in the scaling stage with product in the market. And also along the same lines, the grant capital shouldn't be completely supporting the company, it should be accelerating it. So the runway needs to be at least 6 to 12 months pre-grant. So the company needs to be viable in that time frame. And the rest of these I think I've already mentioned, but just in case the product needs to address those challenges that we've discussed earlier, should be operating in Ghana or applied to Ghana, and should be serving youth, which we define through the program as those who are 18 to 35 years old, and should contribute to our programmatic goal of reaching 25,000 additional MSEs within 2 years. So if these things sound exciting to you, if you feel like you meet the requirements, please go to this bfa.works/EOI link on the screen here. And you can learn more at the link in the bottom right too. But if you feel like you have the willingness and excitement to express interest, please go ahead and do that. And with that, I just want to say thank you and encourage you each to get in touch with us.
Thank you too, Matt. And that was Matt from the Catalyst Fund Inclusive Digital Commerce. Now, if you have been looking for an opportunity to enter the European market, especially from Ghana or Africa, this next person is going to help you see the opportunities that you can find in the French tech ecosystem. So ladies and gentlemen, here from the Ghana France Business Club, help me to welcome Maxine Reindorf-Partey.
Hello, thank you for the warm welcome. Thank you for the warm welcome. I wanted to use this opportunity to highlight the opportunities on the French market, and also to give a general overview of the French tech ecosystem. Next slide, please. So who are we? The Ghana France Business Club is a private trade association founded in 2018. So we have the overall goal of promoting and driving investment to the Ghanaian economy. We are endorsed by the Embassy of Ghana in France, as well as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. So we serve as an intermediary, not only for French and Ghanaian businesses, so large multinationals, mid-sized companies, but also for entrepreneurs. We provide business and business development services and market entry for companies and entrepreneurs seeking to expand onto the Ghanaian and the French markets. Not only do we endeavor to drive investment to Ghana, but we seek to identify areas where Ghana and France intersect. So this is areas of, for example, capacity building, training, knowledge sharing. So the ICT sector in Ghana, of course, is still in the throes of development, but of course, there is massive potential for growth and expansion, as demonstrated by our innovative Ghanaian startups. Next slide, please. So Franco-Ghanaian synergies. Prior to the ratification and implementation of the AFCA, Ghana's startup system has seen entrepreneurs who are seeking to expand and do business in the sub-region, of course, with our Francophone neighbors. So with the AFCA now operational, this emphasizes the need for Ghanaian entrepreneurs to do business with our Francophone neighbors. So as an Anglophone nation, we have the tendency to be more drawn to programs and events in the US and the EU, of course, the English-speaking countries in the EU. But today, Ghanaian entrepreneurs have the opportunity to not only expand their horizons in the area of tech support, partnerships and fundraising, but they also have the opportunity to discover more about the programs and events for technology in the French-speaking world, and of course, in the French tech ecosystem. Next slide, please. So created in 2013, La French Tech, next slide, please. And the next slide. So created in 2013, La French Tech is an ecosystem building, marketing, and communication initiative that seeks to raise France's profile and that of its startups with the venture capital industry, the media, opinion leaders from the tech industry, and international entrepreneurs. So with over 13 regions, La French Tech has incubators in every capital. So the institutional partners include the French Development Agency and BPI, that's the French Public Bank of Investments. So it's made up of multiple programs such as French Tech Tremplin 1, 2, FT20, and the French Tech Ticket. So I think the French Tech Ticket would be particularly interesting for Ghanaian startups, as it has expanded to include foreign entrepreneurs seeking to set up in France. So the French Tech Ticket, for example, offers foreign entrepreneurs founding their startup in France with a special package. So this includes, for example, grants, visas, help desk contact points, etc. And of course, they will receive a 45,000 euro prize to launch an innovative project in France. So it's a very simple process that would allow the entrepreneur to not only set up business operations, but also to live in the country. Next slide, please. So Station F. So on a grander scale, the French government in 2017 created Station F. So this is actually the world's largest startup incubator and campus. It opened its doors to French and international startups. So they provide office accommodation for over 1,000 startups. Also, it is based in central Paris. So what the organization does is that it gathers a whole entrepreneurial ecosystem under with the idea to help entrepreneurs bring their ambitious ideas to life. So since 2017, today we see 30 startup programs with over 100 VCs. And of course, program partners include, but are not limited to, Facebook, Microsoft, Ubisoft, L'Oreal, Havas Group, BNP Paribas, LVMH, and Share It by Ashoka. Next slide, please. Next 2 slides. And events. So of course, the flagship event for technology in France is known as Viva Tech. So it saw its 5th edition in 2020, but of course, due to the coronavirus pandemic, it has been postponed to June 2021. So Viva Tech is a 3-day annual conference with over 124,000 attendees with over 2,000 startups and 3,300 VCs and investors attending. So it actually is the largest conference, technology conference in Europe. Past speakers have included Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Jack Ma of Alibaba, as well as high-ranking executives from Microsoft, IBM, Samsung, NASA, and of course, other tech giants. So past participating African countries have included Algeria, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, DRC, Egypt, Gabon, Guinea, Kenya, etc. And unfortunately, up until date, Ghana is yet to acquire a pavilion. Next slide, please. So in terms of startup participation and impact, Viva Tech is an opportunity for startups to not only network and promote their businesses, but it's also a place for them to meet potential investors and generate leads. So in terms of participation, 2019, the conference saw over 2,300 exhibiting pitching startups with 1,800 B2B meetings between startups and VCs. So 97% of the startups reported that they succeeded in promoting their companies with a 92% satisfaction rate. So their presence at Viva Tech allowed them to also generate at least 3 to 6 months worth of prospecting leads. Next slide, please. Next slide again. So for more information on these programs, you could visit lafrenchetech.com, /nf.co, and Viva Tech Technology. And last slide, please. And of course, to conclude, the French tech ecosystem has certain elements that the Ghanaian tech entrepreneurs can benefit from, including but not limited to business development resources, advisory, and tech support and funding. So the GFBC is available to Ghanaian entrepreneurs who are seeking to expand to France and the EU. And of course, our doors are open to accompany you in all your endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxine. And thank you to all our speakers. This has been a really insightful session. I am super excited about all the opportunities that have been presented today, particularly knowing some entrepreneurs that I've been working with and the opportunities that they've been looking for. I've been with the Tech in Ghana Summit the whole time. Well, we have come to the end of the presentations from our speakers. We will allow for some questions. So if you have any questions, please type in the questions section below, and I'll be happy to relay them to our speakers. And whilst we are waiting, let me remind us all that this is Tech in Ghana Conference, the virtual edition. This is the 7th overall Tech in Ghana Conference, and this year is a combination of the UK and Ghana edition. You can always follow up the conversation with the hashtag TechInGH on all the different social media platforms. You can also follow Tech in Ghana Conference on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So the floor is open for your questions. If you have questions for Gary, if you have questions for Matt, Maxine, for Ronke, who spoke earlier, and then also Mr. Ike, please put them in the question section below, and we'll be happy to relay them. Whilst we are waiting, to our speakers, just I have a few questions from my end as well. So for Matt, I don't know if you mentioned earlier, but for the people that you're looking for the Accelerator program, you mentioned earlier logistics. I have an entrepreneur that we are training in freight forwarding and also logistics. Are you paying any attention to the amount of money they've made in the last 6 to 12 months, or will you be paying attention to other criteria for selection?
So I think, like I mentioned in those 8 criteria, I'd say that the amount of money that they've made in the recent past is a driver of a couple of those other, or it's a proxy for a couple of those other requirements. So if they've already gotten 1,000 MSEs on board, And if they've got a runway looking forward of around 6 to 12 months, those requirements I think would cover that kind of requirement. But there's more information at bfa.works/IDC. And expression of interest at /EOI. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Matt. Okay. And this is for you, Gary, if you are around.
Yep.
I appreciate the wealth of mentors that you have on your platform. I wanted to know if you have any mentors or coaches from the continent that will help to put some of the experiences in context, particularly for some of the co-founders that we have in Ghana.
Yes, I mean, I think that the truth is that we can always use more. The main contact that I have in the continent is a guy named Okosa from Echo VC. So Echo VC, we know well. And then also there are a bunch of activities that we used to do with the UK Tech Hub, where they basically focused on South Africa, a few accelerators and incubators in South Africa, Nigeria, and Kenya. So those are the contacts that we have to date, but we're always looking forward to have more contacts. And so if you want to reach out, my email is Gary, Gary, at foundertribes.com.
Okay, is the tribe with an S?
With an S at the end, yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Gary. We have a question from Prosper. Prosper wants to know what the best practices are to kick out tech startups that are in the business to make money without providing sustainable solutions for end users. So Prosper just wants to kick out a tech startup if you are just working on your business just to make money without providing sustainable solutions. Anyone want to take this? What are the best practices to kick out tech startups that are in the business to make money without providing sustainable solutions for end users?
Yeah, I'm happy to, but what's the question though? I'm trying to really understand, like, what is the real question?
It's more of a preventive measure. So he wants to know best practices that we can suggest to kick out tech startups their business only to make money and don't provide sustainable solutions for end users.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, as a founder myself, I don't want to kick out any founders. I think that life kicks out founders. It's really difficult to make a startup succeed. And so I think the question is, can we help them to pivot? And can we provide them with the mentorship and the support that they would need? And if they're investable in any case, then they'll need to answer that question. So I think it's more of a question of reorienting and pivoting rather than kicking anyone out, because being a founder is tough enough.
Yes, that's a perfect way to rephrase it. Thank you, Gary. So absolutely, and I'm sure because of the nest, this will be relatively easier to do. Okay, we don't have any more questions. So unless from the panel, we have any additional comments to make after our presentations, any additional promotions to make, the floor is yours. Ronke, anything from your end?
Hi. Well, just to sign out, I would say, we know it's tough out there. The environment, the business environment, especially in Africa, is tough. So that's why we are all here to provide support in any way. And that's why, as you've seen from the range of presentations that you've heard today, each foundation or each organization is focusing on different aspects or different target SMEs. So my advice, I always tell SMEs, find the right one for you. Don't just, I've had cases where SMEs will kind of want to take a buffet of everything and just kind of combine everything together. It doesn't work that way. Find one organization. If it's not BAYI Foundation, that's okay. We're all kind of here working together. You'll be surprised that some of us are even partners. So just find that one that works for you and stick with that person, and you do great. So that's just for me. Thank you.
Wonderful. Ronke has said it all. And the theme for today, this year's Tech in Ghana conference has been the power of collaboration. So thank you so much, Ronke. Let's go to Ike Okosa from eWorker. Do you have anything to sign off with?
Okay, so I think COVID has kind of proved to people that remote work works. Prior to COVID, a lot of people had issues with distributed hiring. And the good thing about the COVID-19 pandemic is that it actually has opened up Africa to the world. So I think now we'll find more opportunities being given to Africa, which is one of the reasons why we started eWorker.
Perfect, perfect. So Ike is here to ensure that we always have opportunities regardless of what's happening in the world. Thank you, Ike. Let's move on. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for your time, everybody. Very welcome, Mike. Thank you for being here. Alrighty, Matt, any closing remarks from your end?
No, just that we're super excited to be launching. Encourage people to go check out the expression of interest in the program, bfa.works/EOI for the expression of interest. If you are eager to join our mission here of including MSEs in the digital commerce space.
Wonderful. Thank you, Matt. So that's bfa.org/EOI, expression of interest. All right, let's move on to you, Gary. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, no, so thanks again for having me. And I think that, again, for me, the main message is being a founder is tough for everybody. And I think that as I've spoken to some of these founders who, founded unicorns, it's tough for them too. And it's not necessarily going to get any easier. But I think the key is to belong to a community of other founders who are really going to be able to help you and support you and know what you're going through. And don't give up just because it's tough. That being said, if you fail, don't take it too harshly. Just dust yourself off and try again.
Perfect. Spoken like a true entrepreneur. Thank you so much, Gary. And Maxine, if you are here, do you have any closing remarks for this session?
I am here, just having a bit of trouble with my webcam. Yes, there we go. So thank you, Tech in Ghana, for having us and also including us in this conversation. So I mean, of course, we know doing business, whether in Ghana or anywhere else, is difficult for startups. But of course, Ghana at the moment, at least from an investment perspective, lots of doors are opening up, especially now that Ghana has been chosen as the secretariat for the AFCA. And of course, startups should not be left behind. So we are champions of regional integration, and we believe that, of course, doing business with our Francophone neighbors would be one step towards that. So, of course, our doors are open for any opportunities concerning ICT, concerning technology, and concerning startups in the areas of programs and events. So, of course, the doors of GFBC are always open. So thank you again for having us.
Splendid. Thank you also for being here, Maxine. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, for our final session of the Tech in Ghana conference. This session has been especially for those who have been looking for investment opportunities. This session was Opportunity Knocks, Investment and Business for Ghana Tech Founders. My name is Ammishaddai Ofori, and I've been your host. I am currently the Innovations Operations Lead with Blue Space Africa Technologies Limited. We provide tech solutions for banks and government financial institutions. And I'm also the programs manager for the Ghana Innovation Hub, where we support tech startups, entrepreneurs across different spectrums. So if you're looking for any kind of support as an entrepreneur, you should check out the Ghana Innovation Hub. Alrighty, we are at the end of our session. Thank you so much for joining. Before we leave, I prepared a special spoken word for all of us. So here goes, and enjoy. Are you familiar with the concept of galamsey? It's about daring entrepreneurs coming together to make things happen, take on a project even when they don't have all the experiences. That's hustling. But we'll call it entrepreneurship because we know how to mobilize resources, ask for discounts, add our cuts, and call it profit. That is collaboration. We follow our own GPS because we are go-getters, performance drives. And whatever you need to do to get the shit all done, you need to do it because it is extremely rewarding. It's like finding that missing semicolon in your line of code after 2 hours of searching. And the only pepper is you can't do this kind of hustle with people that you can't trust, or your galamsey will flop like an unintelligent propaganda. And all this accumulated experience might have very little impact. So what is impact? It's a collision or a force. It's the action of one object influencing another. Influence. Now, isn't that another? The ability to change someone's mental trajectory without force. Go ask the housemates from Big Brother Niger. And later, the rewards of the hustle will become overdosed. It will transcend our appreciation of the impact that we knew we never had. Like a market woman in Makola, benefiting from an idea we prayed wasn't only a fad. Call it an investment into the future. Life that will significantly be changed by our commitment. See, we invested into the right things happened. Talent was identified. Skills were multiplied. A call was made. Stakeholders replied. The country tried. Things were done right. The continent thrived and there was public pride. That's investment. It's the dedication of resources for a desired output. It's also the surrounding of a place by a hostile force in order to besiege it or blockade it. That's why we need sustainability. That's the ability to be maintained at a certain rate or level. And in other words, we maintain. We maintain the hustle and the new domain. The pride of black painted in the sweat and the hustler's tears. Drop all those blame games. All the brain drains shouldn't be wasted in vain. So we build better ecosystems. Avoid its depletion by adding more wealth with the many years. And that's sustainability. Built through Ubuntu. Shared through a community like TIGC. Shout outs to AB 2020. We are better together. All right, that's all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Raymond Taku. Okay. If everyone is still here, we have one last question from Raymond. Can we attempt it? Okay. So Matt, this will be to you. We can forward it as well. Raymond wants to know from you how long the selection process is estimated to be before the applicants are notified on the status of the application.
So for this first cohort, we're aiming to wrap up sourcing and selection during the month of November. So it'll be a relatively quick turnaround, but there will be a second cohort next year as well. So I'd encourage you to apply for the EOI, and that will be referred to throughout the program.
Splendid.
Thanks for the question.
I hope that helps, Raymond. And that's it for our session. Thank you all so much. My name is Ammishaddai Ofori, and I've been your host for this session of Tech in Ghana Conference Virtual Edition 2020. We hope to see you next time. Over to you, AB 2020.